The joy of the Lord is your strength. How many times have we heard that statement? How many times have we heard it? Have we sung it? But in the context, do we see what it means? When the people were grieved over their sin, when they were mourning in conviction, when they were crushed by their unrighteousness, Nehemiah told them to take their attention off of their condition and put it on God's character. He was assuring them that God only exposes what He desires to heal, that when the Word of God shows us our heart, it leads us to God's. That while our righteousness is like filthy rags, when we confess our sin, He is faithful and just to forgive us of our sin and cleanse us of all of our unrighteousness. But God doesn't just cleanse us, He also justifies us, which is the most important part of salvation. If all we got was forgiven, you know what we get to do? Start over. Right? If I leave here tonight and all my sins are forgiven, but I'm not justified, I just go back to sinning like I always have. Nothing has changed. I just have to, then I need to be forgiven again and again and again. And that's how a lot of us live, because we don't understand that the miracle of salvation is not forgiveness, it's justification. And so you may be sitting here right now saying, what is justification? That is, once our sin is clean, Jesus says, I take your sin and I now give you my righteousness. So we are no longer limited to or judged by our righteousness. Jesus now became sin that we may become the righteousness of God. That means the righteousness of Jesus has been applied to you and me. I am righteous, not by my effort, not because I stopped sinning, not because I overcame this or that. I am righteous because the righteousness of Jesus has been given to me by the grace of God through faith. That's what salvation is. I am adopted into His kingdom, and that righteousness will lead to sanctification, but it begins with God seeing me through the eyes of Jesus' righteousness. If all I see is I am no good, then I don't see the goodness of God. If all I can see is that, you know what, my best effort is worthless, then I don't see that His best effort is worth more than I could ever imagine. He lived perfectly for me. He died unjustly for me. And then He gave me His righteousness because I can't produce my own. That's the beauty and the power of salvation.